You may have heard LeBron James is effectively already a free agent here in the summer of 2018. I don't know if folks are aware of that or not.
A small little story. People
it's my job to inform, so, you know, I want to make people aware.
Appreciate that.
And the Twitter recruitment has begun from other NBA players. The teams can't do this. This is the best thing about the NBA. The teams can't do it because it would be tampering. The players can do it all they want. They can put them in different uniforms, drop them in different cities. He's a Knick, he's a Spur. Who knows what he'll be. Sekou Smith with more now on the King.
The fall of the King. You thought it would last forever, didn't you? You just assumed that somehow, some way, LeBron James would find a way, like he always does. No matter what the Cavaliers look like this season, no matter which iteration of the team showed up for this postseason.
2 seconds, 1 second for the win. LeBron James delivers. Here's James, powers to the basket. Thompson such a good screen. James spins, drives, count it, and one.
LeBron would find a way.
When you have the antidote named LeBron James, you have a chance.
Not this time.
Curry way outside, another three. Fell to Durant. Klay Thompson from downtown. They're starting to celebrate now at Oracle Arena.
They all refuse to allow the King one more minute on the throne.
Back to back.
The Golden State Warriors have won back-to-back NBA championships, and they have won 3 of the last 4 NBA titles.
Has the King's reign come to an end in Cleveland? He'll have plenty of time to focus on his future. What happens next? Only he knows.
Here we go. All LeBron all the time between now and sometime in early July when he either via press conference or a blimp or a television special or who knows what, maybe just a post, I don't know, decides where he's going to play basketball next season. Could be Cleveland. He could just stay right where he is. Could be a lot of other places, and there's lots of speculation out there, including trying to make sense of, you know, the salary cap implications, etc. Here was the man himself after his 2017-18 season formally ended.
I have no idea at this point. You know, the one thing that I've always done is consider, you know, obviously my family, understanding, you know, especially where my boys are at this point in their age. They were a lot younger. The last time I made a decision like this 4 years ago. You know, I got a teenage boy, a preteen, and a little girl right now that wasn't around as well. So, you know, sitting down and considering everything, you know, but, you know, my family is a huge part of whatever I've decided to do in my career, and they will continue to be that. So I don't have an answer for you right now as far as that.
You didn't really think he was going to give you an answer about that Friday night.
I was hoping.
Right? That wasn't going to happen.
Too soon.
You didn't think he was going to come out with a cast on his hand either.
No, that's a good point. That is an excellent point. I did not see that coming either. So here's some of the teams that have been suggested as possible destinations for LeBron with their available cap space at the moment. Some seem more realistic than others, but that's the way it looks. So here's my question, because I'm not going to ask you to tell me where he's going. I don't think anybody really knows. I don't know that LeBron knows definitively right now at this stage of the game. Do you think at 33 with 15 years under the belt, is this a basketball decision or a bigger picture business decision for him?
I think it's both, the combination of both, I do. I think his wanting to win more championships is very important to him. But at the same time, don't discount the fact that the business part of it is very important to him as well, as you can very readily attest to that. But here's a question for you. I'm wondering, tell us, is it easy for Cleveland to just bring other players to their team to keep LeBron there? Can they surround him with better players?
It's not easy for them to do. It's certainly not going to be easy for them to do relative to bringing in another max free agent type. If they were going to try to create space, let's say, for Paul George, they'd need to clear about $60 million off of their books to have the money to do that, to be able to offer max to someone else. So it's a very difficult thing for them to actually acquire the players that they would want to bring with them. They could do it within the framework of a trade, perhaps, but to think that the teams that are holding the really high variance difference makers would move them, I just don't see that necessarily as a good fit or a likelihood either.
Not many teams out there with those sorts of difference-making players really looking to help out the Cavaliers to keep LeBron James there. In terms of what he's thinking moving forward, if you're LeBron's agent, put yourself in those shoes for a second. What would your advice be in terms of just the basketball part of the equation?
Rich Paul and I are about the same height. I can put myself in that space. You know, I think there's probably a decision making that's going to go on from LeBron and his family's side that the agent will have nothing to do with. I think from an agent's perspective, what really you have to do is bring about the reality LeBron seeks. I don't think in this relationship it's going to be Rich really giving counsel as much as he's going to be paving the way for that to happen. And I think you look at the places that Rich has a relationship with, the places that immediately you know he has a connectedness to. DeJounte Murray was one of those tweets that we saw. That's one of his clients in San Antonio.
Right.
He has Kentavious Caldwell-Pope in L.A.
Ben Simmons.
So he has a connection there, and then Ben in Philly. So those are three teams that, for me, I would look at immediately as places where Rich has a direct connection. And if it was something that LeBron sought to really make his way to one of those places, I think Rich would be the one to sort of pave the way for that to happen.
You know, in terms of this series, you follow this team really closely as well. How frustrated do you think LeBron was, particularly with the way Game 1 ended, and then what was the carryover the rest of the way?
I don't know what the words are I can use, but you could watch his body language right there when you see that's the shot, the three right before the half, and you see his frustration. This is dribbling out the clock. Watch LeBron on this one because he's frustrated, okay? And then when you go into the timeout, talking to his teammates, you see the head coach standing by. Head coach is waiting for LeBron to get done. You're seeing all these things happen because of the frustration, because I think in his mind, he saw Game 1 and the series slip away at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, I saw it as like a tragedy in 4 acts. And in the play that you showed there at halftime, I think is the very first one of those.
Yeah, that video of him in the timeout was just so telling, watching his reaction when he learned that he had the timeout at the end of regulation of Game 1. A lot to consider over the summer for the King. When we come back, a look back at Game 4 of the 2018 NBA Finals, the clincher.
How everybody wants it to end.
The Houston series was so difficult. Was there ever a time you thought, we're not going to win this thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
For us to lose our composure, and Houston had a lot to do with that in Game 4, and lose that game at home, up 10 going into the fourth, I thought maybe this isn't it. And then to be down in Game 6 by 10 at the half, and not just being down, but being down and not showing the fight.
Yeah.
I mean, whatever words you want to use, but the championship pedigree, the trust, the ability, the faith, the character, that's what gets you to these nights like tonight.
Do you feel like the fact that this group has been in 4 straight finals kind of is a trump card over any possible objection that anybody might have?
Yeah, winning a championship is the only time you don't have to answer questions. It's the only time. 29 other GM, you have to answer what if, why didn't you, every coach, every player. You only get to have this emotion once, and it means you have to win.
Yeah. So how do you avoid burnout? I mean, this is a long run.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a real question. It seems to be more. Each year is more, if that makes sense. Not because we're in the finals. The game is growing, which is fantastic. It's a global phenomenon. Everybody's wanting to watch. The scrutiny grows the better you do. How do you live in that? And I don't know how to do that the right way yet, but that's the challenge, right?
I asked Andre this. He talked about the journey being better than the result, which I totally understand. Yeah. But how do you keep the journey from being stale with this group going forward?
You got to like each other. You got to really like each other. You got to respect each other. You have to understand some days you don't have it, and your teammates need to pick you up. And you know, it's the house kiss that stays too long. I mean, sometimes you just need space. So you try to find people that are decent people in the worst moments.
But you will not ever take any credit for this, will you?
I don't play. I mean, I help them try to get a team that can win. You know, so that's for them. I mean, the joy I get is I'll go home tomorrow and somebody on the street will honk their horn, and they'll say thank you, and I don't know who they are, but I'll say you're welcome. And who gets to have a job like that? Congratulations.
It's a pretty good job, and he's done a very good job with this Warriors team. It's easy to dismiss it when you get Kevin Durant. Obviously, he had a part in the pitch and bringing him in, but you've done this job before. You know how difficult it is to assemble a championship roster. What has he done so well there?
Well, I got giddy excited when he said you look for decent people in the worst moments.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. They've got the right human beings. They've got the right blend of people. And that ethos that we talked about, Steph Curry embodies it to an enormous degree. Draymond Green does. Iguodala does. Durant was accepting of the things that he needed to do. They have a theme there, and they are about all the right things. And it comes from, Steph called it an authenticity about Steve Kerr. Bob has that. Bob's experience as an agent with Arn Tellem and WMG was really, really important. And it gave him a really deep understanding of players that would react poorly in this worst moment situation. He understood who those people were and what it looked like. So he was able to apply that lesson and those lessons to building a team, and that's a very special thing. And again, it's also helpful when you played at UCLA and you have the pedigree he had as a player. He really is so comfortable in his own skin that he's not trying to prove he belongs there. He's just trying to continue to help build what it is they're trying to do.
And isn't that really the same thing what Steve Kerr is about, comfortable in his own skin? He's not trying to prove anything to anybody.
Right.
This is what Steve is, and I think that transfers over to the team. And a lot of people say the words that they know they're supposed to say about family and the atmosphere that's developed and the culture that they have. But this group has it. They have it and they do it. They just don't talk about it. You can see that. And I think that's the working relationship that Bob and Steve Kerr have, and the coaching staff and the players together. They've transferred all of this on to them, how they think it should be done. This is how we're going to go about it. And everybody's kind of in it together.
Yeah, there's a realness about the folks who run that team and participate in that winning culture. It really isn't. There's no put on with those guys. They just are who they are, and they happen to be very good at winning championships. More coming up here on Game Time. On the way, with the Cavaliers now eliminated, the hoops world is on LeBron watch. What the next phase of his career could look like next.